We're on day 5 of Kwanzaa. NEE-ah. NEE-ah means purpose. I have a granddaughter named NEE-ah. Purpose in life is so important. There was a story of this man that he had a beautiful acreage of farmland, but he had a son that was very lazy and didn't want to help him much. And as he got older, he was in his older teens, around 18, he decided to send him on a journey. He said, I want you to go find this treasure. So he gave him a bag, a small suitcase with some lentils, some seeds, a little bread, 4 changes of clothes, 1 for each type of season. And he told him, I want you to go find this treasure, and it's at the end of a certain place by a cliff. So the young lad traveled. He put his backpack on and decided to go across to find where this was. So he ran into several people, but he didn't have much time for them. But he asked them for help and asked them for directions, and he kept going. So as he went, he kept meeting people, but he was in such a hurry to find this treasure that his father had told him about, that he didn't take much time for the people, even though they helped him and took him along the way and showed him what he needed to know. And as he got there, he noticed the season was changing, so it was time for him to take off his summer wear and put on his fall clothes. And he kept traveling. Months had passed by now, and finally winter came, and he had a coat and things his father had put in for him, but he was still traveling, trying to find this treasure his father had told him about. So when spring came, he finally reached his destination, and he saw this big tree on a cliff, but the treasure was below the cliff, it said. And he dug and he dug and he got all around the tree, and still there was no treasure. So finally, after several days, he decided, I'm going to go back. I haven't found the treasure. Maybe someone got to it before I did. And as he began to go back, he ran into some of the same people. And this time he stayed longer. He said, let me pay them back for helping me. So he stayed and did some work around their house, and they were glad to have him and even fed him and took care of him for a while. And he traveled to the next destination. And each place he had stopped on the way, this time he took a little more time. And he was surprised that people liked him, even though he had nothing to offer other than his skills and talent. So finally, after over a year, he got back home and he burst in and said, hey, Father, Daddy, I'm back. And his father was so surprised to see him and see how he had changed somewhat. And he said, well, tell me about your trip. How was your trip? He said, well, first of all, I'm sorry I didn't find the treasure that you told me was there. Maybe somebody beat me to it. And then he said, but I met so many good people along the way, and I learned so many skills. I felt like I had purpose in my life. And his father said, that was the treasure I wanted you to find, is the purpose of living, so that you will see that things are not just handed to you, but that you have a purpose in this world. And it reminds me of a text in Jeremiah 29:11. It says, I know the plans I have for you, God says, plans that are good and not evil, to give you a future and a hope, a purpose, in other words. So on this 5th day, NEE-ah is purpose. And I want you to have a purpose-driven life, a purposeful life in this time and this season.